Today, we are tackling one of the heaviest, most difficult ideas in all of theology, hell. You know, that image of eternal, fiery torment. It's a powerful one for sure, but it also raises some really tough questions about what it means for a God to be both just and merciful. So, what if that whole popular image is just a profound misreading? Let's dig in and find out. This question right here, it gets straight to the heart of the whole problem. It's a paradox that has honestly troubled everyone, from devout believers to the most hardened skeptics. I mean, how can an infinite punishment be a just response to the finite mistakes of one short human life? It just seems to go against our most basic sense of fairness, doesn't it? So, before we can even begin to explore a different way of looking at this, we really need to get a handle on the problems with the traditional view. We're going to start with the big philosophical and ethical arguments against the conventional concept of hell. You can think of this as the intellectual mountain that any meaningful explanation has to climb. And here's the number one critique, the proportionality problem. Justice, as you and I understand it, demands that the punishment fit the crime, right? Giving someone a lifetime prison sentence for a single parking ticket would be completely absurd. So how can eternal, unending damnation possibly be a proportional response for, say, 80 years of a flawed human life? To a lot of thinkers, it just doesn't add up. This slide really frames the ethical dilemma perfectly. Let's break it down. If hell is purely for retribution, punishment for the sake of punishment, it just seems senselessly cruel. But okay, what if its purpose is rehabilitation, to reform the soul? Well, then its eternal nature makes absolutely no sense, and endless treatment isn't really a treatment. It's just endless suffering.
And beyond the philosophical debate, there are some very real-world psychological impacts to consider. A morality based on fear can lead to something called moral absolutism. That's where people are just so focused on avoiding punishment that they forget about genuinely trying to be good people. This can create this deep, gnawing anxiety about damnation, and it totally shifts your life's purpose from one of positive growth to one of just fearful avoidance.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem pretty clearly. Now, let's pivot and look at a radically different perspective. This one is rooted in a rationalist reading of the Quran, an interpretation that really emphasizes reason and metaphor over strict literalism. And this view reframes hell, or Jahannam, not as a place you're sent to, but as a state of being that you create. So in this framework, Jahannam isn't a torture chamber. It's the stoppage point of a soul's potential. Imagine life is this journey of continuous growth and becoming a better version of yourself. Well, Jahannam is this state of spiritual and psychological stagnation, where all of that forward progress just grinds to a halt. All because of the choices one makes. Now, this process isn't governed by the whims of some angry judge. It's governed by an impartial, cosmic principle, the Law of Mukafat. Think of it less like a legal sentence and more like a law of nature, like gravity. It's this unbreakable system of cause and effect. Your actions have consequences, not because someone decides they should, but because that is just how the universe is wired. So what this means is that the confinement is self-inflicted. The Quran says that Jahannam is surrounding the deniers, which implies it's a present reality, something created by their own actions and mindset right now. It's not some far-off future destination. It's a current condition that we build for ourselves, brick by brick. But how does the self-inflicted state actually work? I mean, how does a person get trapped like that? Well, a really powerful Quranic metaphor gives us the key to understanding this whole psychological mechanism. Let's explore how it builds on itself.
Now, at first glance, this verse sounds like literal, horrific torture. But in this rationalist view, this isn't about physical pain at all. It's a deep psychological metaphor for a repeating, tragic cycle of suffering, a cycle we create for ourselves when we just refuse to learn from our own mistakes.
And this slide illustrates that loop perfectly. First, you take a wrong action. Then you experience the painful consequence of that action. That's the burn. But here's the most critical part. You don't actually learn the lesson. So you grow a new skin, you get a new opportunity, and you repeat the exact same pattern, which of course leads to the exact same painful result, over and over and over again. These modern examples make it crystal clear. Think about the compulsive gambler. He loses everything, that's the burn. But instead of learning, he borrows more money, that's the new skin. And he inevitably repeats the cycle of loss. The same thing happens with the dogmatic intellectual, whose rigid ideas keep failing in the real world. Instead of questioning their core beliefs, they just invent new justifications, a new skin, only to face the same failure again. They are literally renewing their own suffering. And you can apply this symbolic lens to other descriptions of hell too. The fuel of people and stones, that could represent being consumed by our own bad deeds and our rigid stone-like obsessions. A boiling spring? Maybe that symbolizes spiritual barrenness, chasing things that never, ever truly satisfy you. And no escape? Well, that points directly to the psychological prison of our own destructive patterns. So if hell is this self-inflicted cycle, is it just a pointless dead end? Is that it? Not at all. In this framework, even this painful state has a profound and an ultimate purpose. It's not just about consequences. It's actually about transformation. This is such a powerful way to reframe it. Jahannam is seen as a hospital for the spirit. The pain isn't revenge. It's a difficult, intensive therapy. It's the friction a soul feels when its internal programming is totally out of sync with reality. That very pain becomes a catalyst, forcing the soul to finally confront its own dysfunction so that it can be cleansed and reformed.
And here is the key piece of evidence that this whole process might not be eternal. The Quran repeatedly adds this crucial exception, except as your Lord wills. This suggests the duration isn't some fixed, unending sentence. It's conditional. It's tied to a higher divine plan.
And this idea completely solves the proportionality problem we started with. If the divine plan is driven by wisdom and mercy, then the treatment in the spiritual hospital can't possibly be futile or endless. It lasts only as long as is necessary to achieve its purpose, the purification and reformation of the soul. In this view, mercy will always, ultimately, overcome futility. So let's just quickly summarize this entire perspective. Hell, or Jahannam, is understood as a state of being, not some physical place you go to. It's the natural consequence of our choices, governed by cause and effect, not an arbitrary punishment. Its ultimate purpose is purification, not pointless revenge. And in this light, far from being evidence against a just God, it actually points to a cosmos where our choices matter deeply, and where justice and mercy are ultimately working together toward a meaningful, purposeful end. And this leaves us with one final, profound question to think about. If this state of being is the direct, natural result of the patterns we choose to live by, the lessons we refuse to learn, and the potential we fail to realize, then who is truly responsible for its creation? Who is its real architect?